Okay, guys, so it's Sav, and I have to whisper because it is 12:22 a.m. But I'm gonna be cooking tonight. I am an insomniac, but anyways, so I'm gonna be making a like Hispanic style dish that I want, but I don't ask anyone to make for me. So I'm gonna make it myself. So I have this brand of jalapeno sauce. Here's the Spanish side, and I got two of them, but I think I only need one. It's basically just like a tomato puree, but it has like a spicy flavor to it. So with those two cans, I got two, like, I don't know, medium-sized potatoes, and then a Roma tomato, which I hate tomatoes like fresh, but I love tomatoes cooked, like in soups and stuff. So I'm excited about that. And each of these things, so with those two, it was only $3.28. And this is basically all that I'm going to use, plus some rice. And I just have a big bag of jasmine rice and some spices and maybe like a bell pepper or two. So I'm gonna take you guys through this meal, kind of like my little nighttime routine in addition to like what I do the rest of the night. But I'm gonna be cooking to start the night off, and I'm going to be reading while I cook, like while it's cooking. And I'm gonna be reading this book, Along for the Ride by Sarah Destin. I read this several years ago in like middle school, and I remember really liking it. I love Sarah Destin. I read like all of her books, but I'm rereading them because it's been a while. And anyways, I think they made this like a movie or a show on Netflix, and so I was like, oh, I have to reread it before I watch it. So that's what I'm doing. The first thing I'm gonna do is wash my potatoes and my tomato, and then slice my potatoes, put them on to boil, because I'm gonna boil them first, and then I'm also going to, on a separate eye, fry my, or not fry, but like saute my peppers, and then pour in this and put my tomatoes in, and that's just gonna simmer on low for a while I cook everything else. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get cooking, and then I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Okay, so I just washed the potatoes. I'm only doing two bigger ones, just because that's what I bought. And I usually don't peel my potatoes because I like the taste of the skin, but because I'm going to be putting this into a soup, I don't really think that the skins, I don't know, because I paid for the skins, you know? Actually, I think I'll just cut it with the skin. I'm lazy. And I don't mind the taste of potato skins. So I'm gonna slice these, and then I'm going to put them in some water and then let the water boil. Okay, so the potatoes are all sliced up. I have them in this small little pan, and I'm just gonna add some cold water until the potatoes are covered. And I'm gonna dry off the bottom of this pan. And I'm gonna add a little bit of some salt in this because I like to salt the potatoes, and I don't know why I do that. I feel like I was told that it helps it boil faster, but that makes absolutely no sense. Just gonna sprinkle a bit of salt in there, and we're gonna leave that on high and let that boil for, I don't know, 10-ish minutes. I don't really time anything. I really usually don't measure anything either, so I'm not gonna be, this isn't like a follow along with me recipe. Okay, I know this angle is like so weird, but I'm gonna add some olive oil to a pan, just a bit of olive oil so it doesn't stick. And I'll show you guys the seasoning that I'm gonna be using on the peppers as well. But probably like maybe a tablespoon of olive oil just into the pan and let that heat up while I'm gonna go ahead and wash a bell pepper and then some of these sweet peppers, and then I'm gonna cut them, and then once the olive oil is heated up, I'll throw these in on a low temperature and let them saute in there with some spices. Okay, so I have all of the peppers chopped up, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to be seasoning them. And I'm really running out of places to put my phone at this point, so I'm just going to sit you right there. Now you're going to fall. Awesome. Okay. Perfect. So I use a lot of different spices. So first I'm going to use some paprika. I'm going to use this Cajun seasoning, which actually is really, really good. It's not too spicy. And then I'm going to use this chicken, I don't know how to say this, bouillon. I don't know. I'm going to use some of this because I'm not putting any meat in this. I could literally go vegetarian. I wanted to add some hot dogs, but I'm not doing that. I have this adobo seasoning that I'm going to add. And then my favorite spice out of everything is this dry rub. This is just the original. It just adds such a good flavor, and because I'm not adding any meat, this will really help just give it a nice flavor and kind of take the place of the meat. So I'm gonna just season this into the peppers and then let these saute with the seasoning before, and then once they soften up and get sauteed, I'm going to add in the tomato and the tomato puree. So I'm gonna let you guys watch me put the spices in, and then we will let it saute. Okay, so with all the seasonings and all of it mixed together, this is what it's looking like now. You can tell that the color, it just looks like it tastes better. At least to me, when it gets that kind of reddish tint, it just means that it's seasoned, which is always a good thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna let that saute on low while these boil, which you can tell they're cooking up right now. In a minute, I'm going to put some rice on because the rice that I use, I microwave it. I'll show you the rice real quick. Okay, so here's the rice that I use. Ignore my name, I write it on there so people in my family know not to eat it. But this is just the jasmine rice, and this is a 5-pound bag. And I was always scared of these. I usually use boil in a bag rice, but my boyfriend picked this one up and asked me to make it for him. And I made it last night around the same time, and it tasted so good. And here's the instructions on that. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I use it in the microwave. You put a cup of rice and a cup and 3/4 cups of water, and then you just microwave it on high for 5 minutes and then on 50% for 10. And it tastes so good. I of course season it and everything as well. Because that rice takes 15 minutes to cook, I'll put it on in just a minute because this will definitely be done within the next 15-ish minutes. This may not be though, so we'll kind of have to just see what happens, but I'll put it on within the next couple of minutes for sure. And while all these things cook, I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit. So I will see you guys whenever I have an update. So this is getting pretty close to being simmered, and this is getting pretty close to being cooked. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop up my tomato. And like I said, I'm gonna chop it up and then put it into the frying pan with the tomato puree, and then I'm gonna put it on low and just let that simmer so the tomatoes can cook the rest of the way through. And then when the potatoes are through and they're drained, I'll drop them in and let them simmer in and absorb some of that flavor as well. And once I do that, I'll go ahead and put the rice on. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I did end up doing both cans because I feel like it didn't have enough juice. And I'm just gonna let this cook on, I'm gonna let it simmer for a little bit so we can make sure that all the tomatoes are cooked. And once this finishes boiling, I'll also put that in and let it simmer with it. Okay, so I just put the potatoes in and it looks so delicious. It smells so good too, but we're still gonna let it simmer for quite a bit just because I want to make sure that all the flavor is absorbed. I haven't really added any salt, so I'm gonna add a little bit of that. And I may add a couple more dips of seasoning into this. I'm thinking I might add a little bit more Cajun because of the flavor, and also a little bit more of this stuff because we added a lot of stuff in there, and that should be it. I will season the rice just a bit as well, but nothing too crazy, because we don't want it to be like super overwhelming, because the rice is kind of our base for this, that we want this to have all of the flavor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rice into the microwave for 15 minutes, as I said, and then I'm going to, once that finishes, I'm going to add some butter to the rice. Okay, so the rice just came out of the microwave. Here is what it looks like. It's a big bowl, and here's what it looks like. It's just kind of in there. I'm going to put some butter in and mix it up, and then I'm going to add a little bit of salt and also a bit of the dry rub that I was using earlier, and then a bit of this as well. So yeah, and I've been reading, so I feel pretty, I didn't want to film this. There's just an update. Here's what this is looking like. Very delicious. It's looking a little bit sus, I think, because it's kind of hard for all of it to cook in the tiny pan thingy that it's on. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna put butter in this, season it a bit, stir it up, and then I'm gonna find something to store these things in so I can have these for my next couple of meals. Okay, so here are the portions that it made. These are pretty full, so they're pretty full. Rice is underneath these till about right here, and the rest is like the soup or whatever you want to call it. Here's a pretty big portion for my boyfriend. He eats a lot more than I do. And this is my portion for tonight. I'm gonna show you guys, like, I'm gonna react. Because so far I've really only tried a potato out of this. So that's interesting. So I'm going to give this a try. I'm nervous. Okay, so we're gonna get to see my reaction as I try it. So let's see. I'm gonna try to get a bite with a couple of different things. So good. Definitely needs some salt. One thing I love about the tomato sauce that I used is that it has a spice, but the spice in it is like flavor, because usually spicy things make my face sweat, and this is a little spicy, but to me it's like the perfect amount because it's not like super spicy. It's so good. I'm trying to get one of the tomatoes because I'm afraid I maybe didn't cook them long enough. I don't know, but it tastes really good. I have like 50 pages left, I think. Not too many at all. I'm really sad, actually. I have 2 more Sarah Dessen books over there already ready to start. After I finish this one, it's 1:30 a.m. right now. So after I finish reading this one, I'm probably going to start another one tonight, which is really exciting. This is really good. Or my dog barking. Very cute. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next update. Okay, so it's like silent in my house right now, you guys. Everyone's asleep. You can just hear the clocks ticking. ASMR. Just kidding. But anyways, I'm in my couch. I'm reading my book. I'm gonna finish it. I just wanted to hop on and say hi, or good night, I guess. I'm going to read for a couple of hours. Check out my Goodreads if you guys want to see what I have been reading. Kind of calling it a night at this point, but I'll be up for a while. It's just gonna be very uneventful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please check out my social links below. guys in the next video.